Okay, fantastic. We're live.
All right, thanks, Tom. Thanks. Welcome to all the Celsians who's joining us this week. This is our weekly AMA. We have a lot of questions to go through. I have two special guests, Harumi, who is our Chief Financial Officer, and Ashley, who is our VP of Finance. She's been with us from the beginning. So I'll let them introduce themselves. We talk a little bit about the community, the Celsius services, and then we'll leave as much time as possible to answer all your questions. So go ahead, Harumi, why don't you introduce?
Okay, seniority always rules, so I go first. All right, so my name is Harumi Thompson. Hi, everybody. I'm the CFO of the company. I actually do come from a very, very traditional banking background. I started out trading derivatives in a fixed income field when it was probably in the investment banking heydays. But relatively early on, though, I kind of switched into the technology field, doing what we call fintech today, getting involved in a lot of things that we have a hot name for, like artificial intelligence, big data, long before all these things existed. So in a way, you can actually see me and see a person who always was ahead of the trend, you know? So the fact that I moved into the crypto, that tells you something. So, you know, let's take this momentum and move it forward. I just joined Celsius 3.5 months ago, and every day is really, really exciting. So more to come. I will pass it on to Ashley for now.
All right. I'm so happy, Harumi, that you joined our team. You're absolutely a force to be reckoned with. I love working with you.
Thank you.
I've been with Celsius for almost 2.5 years now, since it started. My background before Celsius was all over the place, really. I actually was trained as an opera singer, and then I worked on cruise ships as a performer. I've worked in restaurants, breweries, and then I started to get into the world of startups, and that was about 5 years ago. And I've always had the kind of brain that likes to be sort of the bird looking over the field and making sure that things are where I want them. So that's kind of my operations hat. And I do love numbers and working with theories and ideas, and that is where I step into finance. And this has been a tremendous place to learn and grow. And I do think that the field of crypto and this kind of finance is ever changing and so new, and it's wonderful to bring people from all different kinds of backgrounds that look at things a little bit differently. So I think that that's my contribution to this company for the last 2.5 years.
So both Harumi and Ashley are extremely detail oriented, which is a skill that I have, but for me it's more about looking forward. They're making sure that they look at the present and the past and make sure that everything is perfect, that all the T's are crossed and all the I's are dotted. And this is a very important both skill set and the service that the company needs, because we're dealing with something that is still new. And unless you verify everything and check everything, you know, you're not going to find the mistakes, and we're still finding things that we need to fix, that we need to improve. So why don't you guys talk about a little bit about our process of verification, audit, making sure that everybody gets what they owned, and so on.
Well, I guess I'll start with one big thing first, and then Ashley can go into like the details of what she's done recently. So basically, as Alex said, his job is to kind of look forward, and then kind of take the company forward, right? My job is to imagine a little child kind of hanging on to mother's t-shirt from the back when mom is walking really fast, and the child is going, "No, mom, don't go away, help me," right? Basically imagine that little child being me, and then I use a little bit more words than help me, stay, hold on. So that's sort of like, you know, you can imagine like if Alex, the great visionary that he is, he can move forward as much as he wants, and then I'll be hanging on to his t-shirt. If he goes a little too fast.
I think you do more than my t-shirt.
All right, so that's conceptually what my laser consists of,
The
guys.
age in HODL stands for Harumi. That's what I think.
That's right,
That is
exactly.
good.
That's it, exactly. So with that, I mean, actually, I'll let you do like a little bit more detailed, detailed explanation of like some of the detailed stuff that you have worked on recently.
Yeah, that's funny. So if you're the little kid who's grabbing onto the mom, I feel like I'm the mom who's trying to feed all the kids and make sure that they all got their food and they did their homework and that they are reading the book that's good for them and going to bed on time. But a lot of that is I mean, take, going back 2 years ago to when we had our token sale. This was a lot of work and logistics and making sure that everybody got what they paid for, and not only tracking that was all accurate, but all of our recording of this information was done in a super detail oriented way that could stand up for years. And I'm very proud to say that we just completed our first audit. So that has all been checked and verified by Companies House in the United Kingdom, and I am so proud of this. So that kind of work involves a lot of different people on our team, from Alex to Harumi, myself, our incredible accountant Darren, a whole team of people who are supporting us with transaction information. We work with the lending teams, and so this is really a group effort to make sure we're doing things correct. And because this is such a new idea and industry, I mean, the Satoshi white paper was only written 12 years ago. The way that we treat this is changing every single month. So yes, it requires details and a lot of attention to details. And we're not just dotting the I's, we're also dotting the J's. Don't forget about those. And so, it's a team effort, and that's the only way we're able to be successful like that.
And by the way, the audit is a public document, so Tom will share the link to the document, so anyone who wants to see the audit can click on the link and visit that. And obviously, we will be doing an audit for 2019 in the next few months, and hopefully will be published before the end of this year, because our fiscal year goes February to February, I think, right? So
that's right.
So just so you know when things come up. So just to give you an example of what happens, right? So let's say you got really excited about the 1% loan and you filled up all the stuff in the app and you apply for it. There's actually somebody who goes and verifies that you're allowed to take the loan, that everything you did is proper, that we have all the documents that we need from you. And then they have to actually press the button and send you the money, right? Because it still goes through the traditional banking wire transfer if you ask for dollars or anything like that. So these are the things that Harumi, Ashley, Aliza, and other people do every day. And not always the wheels turn at full speed. Sometimes, somebody has a special request, like recently we did a very large loan. If you want to talk about that, one of you wants to jump in, but it required a lot of additional work and a lot of additional checks and using third parties to help us validate things. Because again, the most important thing for us is to make sure that we are not putting the community at risk, right? Because every loan represents more risk, and we have to make sure that we have enough collateral, that the borrower is of good standing, that all these things that are checked. And I can tell you, I jump in and help out once in a while, but I'm not the one doing all that work, right? So jump in and share with people the tasks that you go through to keep everybody's money safe.
Right, so maybe we'll talk a little bit more about that loan. So we actually dealt with a underlying collateral that we have not dealt with before as a company. And so we needed a little bit more time and effort and resources in order to assess how to even make this into the collateral so that we can do our business, as Alex said, without taking a risk. Because the whole thing about the collateralized loan is that you might be lending out something, but in return you take the collateral to make every sort of the customer's deposits very, very safe, right? So how do we do that? By having a really good risk assessment process in the place, and by everybody working together and communicating well together, and clients do understand the steps that we take, so that the loan making process actually goes through the due process, the full due process. And for that, I mean, I actually, as a CFO, has both money control side and then also money investing side. So I have both sort of expense control and risk management, and then the side that goes out to make the money. And there's a balance in between these two. You can always make a lot of money but not paying attention to details, and then you could put everything at risk, or you could just step on the brake on everything and then do not make enough money to actually benefit the community. So I do have this delicate balance of all of the stuff that I have, that we have to kind of work with. And I think this particular deal that Alex was just referring to, where we had to deal with the new kind of digital asset that we use as a collateral, was a really fine example of where everybody really kind of came in together to assess the situation, deal with the new instrument, and push the deal forward without causing any kind of risk, right? So that's I think that's a really good example, Alex, that you just brought up.
Yeah, Ashley. So just one more point we have a lot of strong personalities in the company, which I like. I mean, we want everybody to have an opinion and stand behind their opinion and so on. And I can tell you that it doesn't matter how much I scream or want something. If Harumi or Ashley don't think it's the right thing, either financially or not right thing for the community, they're not going to approve it, and it's not going to get through. So we have we have several committees, an investment committee, finance committee and we reject a lot of deals. We recently even rejected a few customers that were too high risk because of KYC ML, and we just send them their money back, right? So maybe Ashley, talk a little bit about that and how you guys look into those things.
Yeah, I'm really proud of our committees that we've established at Celsius. This is really speaking volumes on the democracy of this company as well, which I think is important for the community to understand, that we each have our roles at Celsius that we're experts at. And one of the things that I really love about Celsius is that we understand that our peers here at this company are very skilled at what they do, and showing that respect to each other. For instance, we have an excellent risk analyst who joined our team earlier this year, and he's been an absolute joy for us to work with. And dividing the responsibilities in this way and then being open to other people's ideas has made this synergy something really incredible in the last, I would say, 4 months at Celsius. We're really ramping up. We're on a roll. And sorry, I'm really distracted because this little thing keeps tugging at me. So yeah, I mean, we all have our positions, and you're right, Alex. If you have an idea that I don't like, usually I can convince you as to why I feel the way I do. And sometimes I'm wrong. And I think that having that humility here, that we can all be wrong, is part of what makes us so effective. Okay, you're going down. All right.
So let's talk about a few other things. So one of the missions of Celsius was also to make sure that we tried our best to have 50% of women, to bring more women into crypto, and the two of you definitely came from a completely different field originally. So it will be important to share your experience and your kind of both good and bad of when you entered the crypto community, because I think for a lot of women who kind of looking at this from the sideline and saying, oh, too many geeks or whatever, what's your feeling of where we were, where we are, and where we should be?
That one probably actually better take, and then I'll kind of address to the general blockchain sort of industry thing afterwards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, from my personal experience, I grew up with 2 brothers, and although I am a performer by trade originally, and I do a lot of girly things, I really thrive best when I'm working with dudes that I can boss around. I'm just kidding. But no, I think that it starts with a personality thing of having the confidence to enter something that is largely dominated by white males. But then once you have entered that landscape, I think that it's really critical for all women in the crypto space to find opportunities to mentor and grow this community, to bring in more inclusion and diversity into this space. And it's not a new thing that technology has largely, I have to throw the toy for the dog, that technology has largely been dominated by guys for some time. And I think it's time for us to stop that. And I'm seeing like more and more education for women in computer science. And I want to see more of that. But it's also up to us, like it's up to me and to Harumi to find young women who are interested in this space and to help mentor them and grow. The only reason I was able to find my confidence in the startup space was because I had several incredible female mentors in New York. And that gave me the confidence that I needed to be able to walk up to Alex and tell him why he needed to hire me. Actually, I didn't do that. You guys wouldn't let me leave the office unless I took the job. I was trying to move to California and you wouldn't let me. So that's kind of my personal experience, but I think that the action that needs to come out of it is finding opportunities to help grow the diversity in our field and in tech in general and finance.
So for me, I started, I mean, obviously I started a few years ahead of Ashley. And I was in the investment banking when I really had no one but male around me. I mean, my first job was actually in Tokyo. And you probably hear generally about the male-female thing in Asia, Japan, you know, whatnot. So I really started out as a banker in that kind of environment. And then also like, you know, very, very, very early on, I switched into technology, which is also very much male-dominated. You know, one of the things that I found really great when I began to kind of really dip deep in the blockchain, generally speaking, is that after, you know, a few years after sort of like an ICO craze and all that kind of stuff, a certain report came out. And one of the things that I thought was great that came out as a part of this research is in the venture capital world, the previously like a traditional rate of women getting funded was only about 13-14%, something like that, right? But with the blockchain emergence and people getting funded through the blockchain, where it sort of like, you know, for lack of better words, it put the actual innovators behind the technology and put the, you know, the money in front of the technology, it leveled out the field. And if you think about the number that jumped from teens, teen number of some kind, to 40-something% that female founders were getting funded, it really tells you something about the built-in bias that we have in the industry, generally speaking, whether we are talking about finance or technology. And I do hope that an emergence of new technology like blockchain that can, although like it keeps all the identities out there, also it can hide what is not necessarily critical behind the technology, and people are looking at what the ideas that are really worth funding, or the ideas, the technologies, the business that are worth looking at actually coming forward. And I think that's what something that blockchain and crypto actually pushed forward. I think that's something that is amazing about this technology, and I really love it for that.
Yeah, these are good points, and I wanted to bring up also transparency. You know, Arumi, you came from Wall Street. The version of transparency on Wall Street is an auditor telling investors or depositors, you can trust me. I check the books and records. Everything is fine. And I'm always reminded by Lehman Brothers and how a month before Lehman Brothers filed for the largest bankruptcy in US history, the auditors published the results of Lehman Brothers for the previous year because they audited the previous year. And they said, everything is wonderful. There is not even a blemish on the Lehman Brothers balance sheet or income statement. So So Celsius chose a very different path, and I wanted both of you to kind of comment on both the commitment and what are you doing? What are you working on every day to both improve the transparency and provide the information to our community?
Well, let's see. In my case, the transparency, I think at the end of the day, it comes down to money, right? We are a fintech company and we are in the business of where we take the customer deposit money and we pay back to the community as much as we can without behaving like a traditional banks where I don't know what the rate is there at 0.1%. So, but in order for us to do that though, we really I have to be very transparent to me what kind of expenses are going in, what kind of money is coming in. And then I actually make it my business to report it in front of some of the committees that I think Ashley and Alex were mentioning earlier, investment committee, executive committee, all those places. And I'm still perfecting it. It's nowhere near perfect. Like I said, I just started only 3.5 months ago. I'm really getting myself familiarized with all the books and numbers and the accounting methodologies and everything. But where I can, I report all these numbers. I put together these numbers. I think about what these numbers actually mean. That's the kind of transparency that I think I can bring to the people. So on any given, I wouldn't say on any given day, but any time I have to deal with the numbers, I can be, even at the management accounting level, I can be certain to a certain level and say, yep, this is how much we're bringing in, this is how much we're getting deposited, and this is how much we are paying out to the community, so that we can stay true to our statement as much as possible.
And just to explain to the people who are watching who don't necessarily know the certifications you have and the requirements, like if you have this and this certification, what is your responsibility as a CFO, even of a private company, right? As far as reporting and as far as making sure that nothing is, that everything is done according to the standards. And maybe talk a little bit about that, because we didn't get into the different certifications you have.
Oh, you mean like all these 3 letters that I have behind my name? Okay, so, well, let's see. It's almost my hobby to go back into schooling and in trainings and stuff like that, like every few years, to get all these like 3-letter stuff. So I have different things. I think I can talk about, first I went to business school. After I did the investment banking at a business school. It's a general sort of a MBA that I got. So it's not like MBA in this, MBA in that. I went to business school in France and got a master's in business administration. I have a CFA designation, Chartered Financial Analyst. That is a minimum 3-year process. So it's actually longer than the business school. And there's a big debate going on right now between business school and the CFA. Some of the people at the CFA Institute actually said, the biggest difference between CFA and MBAs are, you cannot find a CFA charter holders in the jail because we take away the designation if the CFA people get caught for doing something bad. So I'm like, okay, well, I still have my designation. I guess I'm good. That might give me the right to do this finance job right now for the company. And then I have other things too. I have done product management because I got into the technology side of it, right? So I have a couple of additional designations in the field of project management and then product management, which also couples with a little bit of marketing. So, at the end of the day, managing a small company, even if you're not a founder like Alex, but if you are part of a startup where your job description is not narrowly defined, but you have to do a lot of different things on any given day, it actually does help that you have done a few different things throughout your life. And I think if you look me up on the LinkedIn or something, I have nothing to hide. Please go ahead and look. I have done a lot of different things in the past. I mean, like I said, I was in banking, I was in technology, I've done product management, I did innovation management. And though all these are coming together to give me the skills to be a part of a small organization in the growing industry like this right now. So I think that's something that I can say about your question, Alex.
Sure. Yeah, no, thanks for that. Thanks for the detail. And Ashley, maybe talk a little bit about transparency, our commitment, what we're working on.
So transparency is one of our core values at Celsius, and I think that we've done an excellent job incorporating this right into our app. Right now, you can open up the Celsius app and click on the community page, and you can see our assets under management, how many users we have, what kinds of deposits people are making on average, how many Bitcoin we've received to date. It's really, revolutionary for a financial institution to actually put that out so publicly. And we are not trying to hide that from anybody. And we're very proud as well to pay out over 80% of our revenues directly back to the community. And so this is something that we are going to continue to do. And we look very carefully at all of our numbers on both sides to make sure that we are doing that. And that's also what is helping us decide the rates every single week that we're paying out on coins. So that transparency is absolutely a core piece of this organization and something that I'm personally very proud of. And we're always thinking of new ways that we can bring that transparency into our product and into our way of working together internally and outwardly toward our community and the people and the companies that are borrowing from us as well.
Yeah, great points. So you both wear other hats, right? You don't just do what your title says. So maybe share a little bit. Harumi is like she takes on anything. She's like, sure, I'll take that. And I'm like, you sure you can take more? So besides being a CFO and a VP of Finance, give us a little bit of quick picture of other things you work on every day, other projects or responsibilities.
Oh, I thought that this was the opportunity for me to talk about my baking. I have to talk about Celsius more? I am disappointed, Alex. Okay. I think, when you are responsible for all of the numbers, right, both in and out, pretty much any work that any company, for profit or non-profit, doesn't matter. As long as we are talking about doing some kind of business management in the modern world, everything has to have a number involved somehow. So pretty much, whether we're talking about keeping a relationship with certain customers, discussing certain business with potential clients, or whatever it might be, something that may not directly be related to CFO, the office of CFO, at the end of the day, without finance department getting involved in one way or another, I say the business, generally speaking, doesn't move forward. So I think it's a very general way of answering the question, Alex. But I think, in today's world where strategy and the finance are really kind of intertwined, operationally, the company can't move forward without money getting involved. I think that's probably how I would answer your question. If I think of something more, I will just jump in and say things like I always do.
Well, we tapped into your product management skills, right? Oh. So to manage product integration and integrating not just the financial function, but also the lending and other functions. Maybe talk a little bit about how you use those skills to help develop new products and do project management and things like that.
Gotcha. Okay. So that's a really good question. When I just moved into the technology side from the investment banking side, and my first job was client-facing stuff, so it was not too much of a jump. But the next position that I held after I held a client-facing position in the technology company was product management. And then I was thinking, can I actually do product management? I mean, what do I know about technology? I've never coded a day of my life. What am I going to do? But one thing that I realized very quickly when I moved into product management job is that actually, because I can speak finance very well, I know what the finance people do look for from the products, from what kind of process it needs to go so that it actually gets the buy-in from the ultimate end users. Those are the things that if you are only on one side, right, and then never have experience at the other side, you never really know. I mean, you can kind of learn over the course of time, but you never really can kind of speak the language, talk the talk, walk the walk, as they say, right? I mean, those are the things that I, as a result of ending up to be on the banking side and then moving into technology side, it's something that without knowing some skills that I was very luckily able to acquire. So I know when I talk to the technology side people, I know what needs to be said, like how things need to be said in order to get it developed by the technology. And likewise, when I bring some technological issue to the finance side, I know exactly where the hurdles are. So those are the kind of like, go back and forth that I think allows somebody like me to do when you have experienced both sides of the business.
So we know what Harumi's hobby is, right? Baking. Ashley, share with us what you're working on the side on, because I heard it's.
A million things. I am, jack of all trades, master of none. I do so many projects and hobbies, but my recent thing is I'm raising chickens. So I have 4 young chickens right now outside, and I was just looking out my window and watching my dog run around the yard. I had to go and let her out. Sorry about that. So yeah, I've just become like this pet owner. All of a sudden I had no pets and now I have 5. But my biggest hobby on the side is I'm actually a home brewer. I make beer. So everyone at Celsius knows that, and most of them have gotten to try it, but I moved away from New York about a year ago. So it's been a long time since I've gotten to share my beer. Harumi and Tom, you've never tasted my beer before. We'll have to get that sorted out sometime soon.
So something is fermenting as we speak, right? In the next room.
Yeah. Downstairs in the basement, I've got a hoppy rye, which is also the name of my dog. Her name is Hoppy Rye. And I've got a Pilsner that I'm going to make, and I'm going to brew a beer for Oktoberfest pretty soon. I just need to clear out some space in my kegerators. So if anyone wants to come over and socially distantly help me consume some beer, come on over to the Bay Area.
I was joking, if this Bitcoin thing doesn't work out, we'll have some cake and beer to fill in the gap, All right, Tom, I think we're ready for a few questions.
I thought you were going to make a joke about liquidity.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. That's all right, Tom, hit us with a few questions.
Sounds good. We'll put some beer in the next ambassador pack for you guys.
Yeah, right.
Can we actually have this with the beer in our hands?
Next time, yeah.
We
have it at 5
too
o'clock.
early.
5 o'clock today. We have a company gathering, and you are allowed to bring alcohol.
It's next week.
It is? I thought it was this week. Sorry. I was all excited.
But we are a global company. It's got to be 5 o'clock somewhere, no? It's
well,
Friday. That's
what you're talking about wearing other hats, Alex. One of the other hats I put on was, hey, we should have it's 5 o'clock somewhere happy hour every week. So that's starting next week. We're going to do 2 of them, one for East Coast time and one for Tel Aviv, Israel time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, it's already gone 5 o'clock for me. So this next week, I'm going to be sloshed for it. So just prepare.
Oh, no.
Perfect.
So for the first question for you guys comes through from Andelco. He says, does Celsius plan to introduce a silver-backed crypto coin? I think he's excited about our gold edition.
I'll jump in on that one. So, so the way we choose assets is not has little to do with we like gold better than silver, and much more to do with the quality of the issuer and our ability to generate yield on the asset. So, because we don't have a great tokenized silver partner who is also working with us to generate yield, we don't want to just list something that will not have yield. As you look at our wallet, everything in our wallet is generating a substantial yield. In some cases, like Tether Gold, we're the only people in the world that do that, right? So that's what Celsius is so special about, right? We create a whole new product that didn't exist before, and scale it up so everybody on the planet can have access to it. So if you know of a great silver product that we should be working with, please do the introduction and we'll investigate it. We are definitely, I always say gold, silver, and Bitcoin or other crypto, right? So I'm definitely a big supporter of the silver community.
Thank you, Alex. So the next question for you finance ladies is from Samir, who asks, who decides interest paid on the sell tokens? Is there an ethics issue with Alex owning Cell and having some influence in deciding its rates? Is there enough trading of Cell tokens that Celsius lends it out and makes money?
You know, since this is asking about your ethics, Alex, I think I will address that one instead of you addressing this one. So who decides the interest gets paid out? I mean, we can talk about the mechanics and things like that later. But first of all, if you recall that we were talking about investment committee earlier, it's a committee that's consisted of 7 people. And we meet once a week, every week, right before the rates get changed. And then we actually discuss what interest makes the most sense based on all of the factors that we have seen throughout the week. So generally speaking, that's how the interest that gets paid on each coin gets decided. Now, the ethical issue of Alex, I will take that one straight up. And no, there is none right now, because you know why? Because Alex is not getting paid at the moment on the cells. Not only Alex, but the 3 founders that we've got, their cells are locked up and they're not collecting the cells. This is actually a service, not the service. This is actually something that we discussed and decided that while we are growing, and you know, with the startup company, the growth company comes with the fact that we do have to watch out every penny that we spend, right? And it was something that was decided a few months ago that the 3 founders, until the company really is in a rock solid place, not that we are not generating revenues, anything like that, we definitely are, and we are paying definitely up to 80% of interest on all the deposited coins. But until we have such a phase, we are in such phase where we feel very comfortable with our financials and everything else, they're not collecting the interest on their cells. So, you know, whoever asked this question, I almost feel like it was a setup for me. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'd love to meet with you in person one of these days to thank you personally. But that's what we have decided to do. And Tom, what was the third question? I forgot.
So just to add to I only have 1 vote in the investment committee. It's not like I have 5 of the 7 votes. And not always what I say goes. I mean, sometimes, again, like Ashley said before, the team convinces me that they're right, and if I don't have the votes, I don't win. I mean, if I can convince 6 other people who are all passionate about this company, then obviously something is wrong with that. So that's how the process works. But go ahead, Owen.
Sure. So the third part of the question was, is there enough trading of Cell tokens that Celsius lends it out?
Yes, indeed. I mean, you know, every week, every day, actually, I monitor how much of our coins are deployed out in one way or another. And yeah, there are some days when we can deploy a little bit more, but generally, like, you know, right now, we are pretty much hitting the upper limit side of where we feel comfortable that we can deploy out any of the coins. So when I joined this company, I was actually surprised at how quickly we can go almost a short situation with any given coins. Given that there are
short, not having enough coins, not that we are taking a short position. Just
yes, that's right. Short in as in
we're not doing that.
No, okay, so I'd better be careful not to use too much finance terms, right? Okay, so how quickly we become not having enough coins for us to, like, you know, invest, not invest, deploy to all of the places where we want to deploy them. So that's, like, you know, we are talking about 550 million or so under asset management. And that's a lot of coins if you think about it. So yes, there are a lot of different places where the coins can go. If we have more coins, I'm pretty sure we managed to deploy them still so that we can keep yielding money on them and thus continue giving back to the society. So come on, guys, I'm waiting.
We need more coins for sure.
Yes, we need more coins. Yeah. I definitely can use more coins. Bring any.
We just raised the rates, actually, effective today. So we just bumped up our rates on all of our stable coins because there's tremendous demand for loans. We've got this amazing 1% APR loan program right now going through June 15th. And the way that this works is Celsius is basically the hub between those of you who have the stable coins and you want to earn interest, and those of you who want to borrow from the company at a very low interest rate. So now is the time, deposit your new stable coins, go to your bank and take out your fiat, convert it to stables, and earn 8.6%, I think. I don't know
And
why
actually,
people are
you're
not
doing it
doing
yourself,
that.
right? You're benefiting.
Oh, I'm doing that. Yeah, when we were, sorry about, my dog's like insane today. Yesterday we had our investment committee meeting and the decision was made to raise the rates on stable coins, and I was like, yes, good for me.
And we raise it because we maybe go through, you're the chair of the committee, so why don't you go through the specific of why did we raise the rates for stable coins, and are we making profit? Is that a profitable exercise, or are we subsidizing it? Because I think a lot of people are saying it cannot be. If the bank pays 0.1%, you guys are almost paying 100 times more. You're paying 80 times more than the bank. That is just not possible. So explain to people the process, and are we profitable doing this function?
Well, so the process is definitely that once you deposit your stable coins into your wallet with Celsius, we are pooling that together with the rest of the assets of the community, and it allows us a pool of liquidity, you could call it, so that we can fund out loans. And yes, we are offering the loans to people at a much lower rate than the interest we're paying back to the depositors. So it may seem like we are not making money, but there's a lot of other moving pieces involved in a loan. All of our loans that we issue are not based on your credit score or your history or how many cars you've purchased or how many houses you own. It's all based on your loan collateral, or what we call the LTV ratio, the loan to value ratio. So every single loan that we issue is backed with some form of collateral that in the event of a massive drop in the market or the inability to repay a loan, we would liquidate that collateral. So the collateral is a moving piece that's also involved in any loan. And that is an asset that we can hold on to for security and also as a means of deployment should more interest be needed in our book to help fund those interest payments out to the depositors.
So just
does that make sense?
Yeah. So as an example, if somebody took the minimum, which is $1,000 loan, and if they won the 1% loan, they need $4,000 of collateral. So let's say they gave us $4,000 worth of Bitcoin, and Harumi immediately grabs that $4,000 of Bitcoin, which is 4 times more than the loan, right? So we are charging you 1% on $1,000, but we earning 6-7% on $4,000, right? So so that is plenty of income left over for Celsius, and most of that income again is given to the rest of the community. So you're benefiting from paying only 1%, but the community as a whole, all the people, all the Celsians next to you are benefiting because we are lending the collateral you gave us and redistributing 80% of that income with all the other Celsians. So it's a win-win-win. The people who are the payers, the people who pay for it, most of the borrow is by institutions, not by individuals, right? We don't lend coins to individuals. So all the interest, most of the interest we get every month comes from the institutions that pay us the hefty fees to do market making or shorting or arbitrage and all that other stuff. All right, next question.
The other kind of moving element of that is that if we have an existing customer of Celsius and they choose to take a loan, they are moving their crypto assets, which we're earning, into collateral, which is locked. So it allows, that means that $4,000 worth of Bitcoin is now not earning interest in the ecosystem anymore, which allows us to continue paying the high rates out to those who are still earning. So it's just redistributing those liabilities into a different category.
Yep. Next question, Tom.
Love it. So I just had a question come through from the community, and it's about the Biloxi exchange that happened earlier in the week with the 20 million in volume. Was it all wash trading, and what can we do in the future to stop things like this happening?
Yeah, so we published a video about that. I think it's on our YouTube channel, right?
Yes.
Of me doing an interview with somebody, a famous guy who's he's like a vigilante against all of these scammers and people who just do fake trading and things like that. So There's no real way for us to block it because it's an ERC20 token. So basically almost anybody can create an exchange or start trading sell, but we know where all the tokens are, and you would know them too. If you go to our website, you can see all the wallets that store all of the coins, and a token cannot be in two places at once. So it's not like they could be on lockup with Celsius. 80-something% of the community keeps all their Cell tokens locked up in the community. Celsius keeps all of its treasury locked up in our wallet. You can verify from the blockchain. It doesn't matter what Alex says or Harumi says, right? Or Ashley. You can verify by yourself that these tokens are sitting in those wallets. If they're sitting in those wallets, they're not being traded on Blixie or whatever the name of the exchange is. So for sure, we know that that volume is fake. For sure, we know that none of those coins actually changing hands. And for sure, we know it's not individuals who are doing this. So these are bots that are creating effectively fake trades. There might be some real stuff in there from people who jumped in and thought that, oh, I can buy Cell token at 12 cents or 15 cents instead of 19 on Liquid or on IDEX. But that's what we are clarifying, that you should not trust any of these exchanges, because there's a reason why the real exchanges are trading at 19 cents and this exchange has somehow a lower volume. And what these guys are trying to do is they're trying to have you deposit, for example, your Bitcoin to buy, sell, and then when you're trying to withdraw it, and they're going to charge you 20%. They're going to tell you that you have to pay a fee or whatever, or they're going to steal your money in the first place. So just be careful. Use the ones, all the exchanges we support, we think are legitimate, are listed on our front page. When you go to our Celsius.network website, it's all right there. Next question.
Thank you. So Harumi, as CFO, I was wondering, I've got a question from Andy. He says, will it be possible in the future through Celsius to have a custodial account administered by a parent so a child can take advantage of the interest rates offered by Celsius?
I mean, can it not? I mean, can it up? Well, yeah, we can always say, yeah, they can, right? But I do think, though, that one of the things that blockchain does bring forward is its transparency, right? Whether parents are the actual sort of custodial sort of person who holds the child account or not. One of the great things I think this technology has brought forward is the transparency, and whether or not, if you cannot allow a child to touch this money until a certain age, or if this child is only allowed to spend up to this amount of money every day, or however that works. I mean, that's a very traceable activity. So it's not like me kind of, when I was 5 years old, there was a little sort of a change kind of a basket where I sometimes snuck my hands into to take a couple, dollars without my mother knowing about it. And then nobody knows about it. With a blockchain technology and wallet, it just doesn't work that way. So can it? Sure. Should it? Probably we'll get to a place where we don't need real sort of parental guidance in order to keep monitoring how the children actually spend money. I do think that we can get there.
Yeah, and you can basically create it right now if you use a different email address. So if you use your child's email address, and you still have to do KYC/ML, but then if you put it in HODL mode, right? In the new version, we have a HODL mode. You can actually lock it up. So even if the child has access to their email or their account, they cannot, without a specific keyword or phrase, which is really your key to your child's account, they will not be able to transact or withdraw it. So you can play with it.
Keep in mind that if he's doing or she is doing a withdrawal to a new address and has to go through the KYC verification, our support team is going to ask for the parent who did the KYC, because you have to be a certain age to be able to have this wallet.
So you have to engineer the solution, but yes, you can pull the pieces together to make it happen.
It's an interesting question, and we've had other people ask us about multi-user on one account in the case of like a married couple or someone who may be elderly and wants to have it go to somebody else in their in case of death. It's definitely things that we've thought about and questions and topics that we've discussed before.
Yeah, so next question. Tom.
Thank you. Was I the only one when there was a jar of money, I always chose the jar of sweets? Just me as a little fat kid. Right. Stuart asks.
I would have preferred that, by the way, Tom, probably than the couple dollars that I can take out.
I stopped the middleman getting the money. I went straight for the sweets. So Stuart says, will collateralized loan be available using our cell token?
Wow.
Where you live,
Alex,
Stuart.
that we just discussed that yesterday. What a timing. Are you sure you're not writing these questions, Alex?
That's a good one. Yeah.
Pay me in sweets to ask these questions.
And so we are looking into it. We're just waiting for some legal permissions and things like that. And we are going to try to offer at least the 1%, 25, because a lot of people asked us for this, right? And so the 1%, 25% LTV on all the coins, including cell. So that's what we're working on right now, as Harumi said. I did want to go back to another question that we talked about, the dollars being deployed. So when Ashley, as the head of the committee, basically sent a message to the rest of our team saying, hey, the committee met and we're raising the rates on, for example, stable coins to a new high. What happens is that pool of money that we're accumulating in USDC or TUSD or anything else, we usually lend that out to, again, to hedge funds or institutions. And because we're charging them higher rate, that's why the committee is comfortable with raising the rates. We would never raise the rate. I can guarantee you that I don't think there was once a case where we had a rate that was high. And I'm talking about since we started Celsius. And Ashley, you correct me if you remember any incident like this. There's never been a case where we published a rate that was higher than what we were earning from institutions. That is not our business model. There are a lot of our competitors, I guarantee you, a lot of our competitors are publishing rates that are higher than what they're earning. And that's why they cannot publish the income or how much they distribute or how much interest they paid, because the minute they start publishing that numbers, anyone can do the math and realize, oh gosh, they're really not earning that income. So it's very important for us, not just that we have full transparency and we have high rates, but to show how the two are connected and that the two represent a sustainable, continuous business that is always acting in the best interest of the community. And that's part of what Harumi and Ashley do every day. Believe me, if I came to them and I said, let's raise a Bitcoin to 8%, I want to be popular, I want to raise my ratings on YouTube, they will never approve that. So maybe spend a minute on that.
So I guess the question is, how do you guys keep Alex in line with crazy Bitcoin rates?
All right. Well, I mean, so I believe in due process, right? I mean, the process does work. And there are a lot of, I mean, is it perfect? Do we have everything nailed down? No, we are still working out a lot of different things. But generally speaking, like Alex said, one day if he comes in when and then say we are going to raise the BTC to 8% when the rest of the world can only make 3% off of it, we would be like, Alex, go to the next room, put your nose against the corner, and then don't come out of there for a while. Right. That's basically sort of me doing the t-shirt pulling Alex thing and then pushing him to the side of the room. That's effectively what's going to happen. So it's a democracy. I mean, this is blockchain at the end of the day, right? So it's a democracy, and it's a due process that you have to go through in order to decide these things. And that, I think, makes us credible. And that's important to us.
And we're here for the long haul. The way that we've set up our organization, just to kind of continue on what Alex was saying, was so that we can be sustainable for a very long time. And without any private funding of any kind, we've developed this business model that is working. And I think that our community sees that. And now we just need to grow that visibility of this working model to get more and more people involved.
And that's what banking should have been in the first place. I mean, the reason we're doing this is because banking has shifted so far to just focus on the shareholders that they need to deliver so much earnings to the shareholders. There's nothing left to the depositors. And now the Fed is piling on top of it, and Treasury is piling on top of it, and they're robbing all of us from anything. We cannot earn anything on any of our money. and they're diluting the money. They're stealing all the value of the money. So let me not get started. Tom, let's keep this going a little bit longer. I know usually we cap it at an hour, but I want to answer a lot of the questions. So let's keep the answers short and let's hit as many questions as we can.
I have a meeting in 30 minutes though, so.
Yes.
She's off to the basement to go get more beer.
No, it's a security meeting.
I know, I'm just messing with you. Oliver asks, speaking with your point, Alex, when do you expect mass adoption for Celsius and what will this look like for all three of you?
Who wants to hit it first?
Well, that's, I actually do have a larger theme probably that I'm thinking about this problem from. So it might be best if one of you start.
Okay.
I'm thinking about from a banking point of view.
Well, I think that the way that adoption is going to work is we're already seeing a very big increase recently in the number of users. It's starting to increase more and more. And just like the growth of a virus, it's going to spread much more rapidly. So you're going to see that curve really like start to go, and then it's going to go a lot more. So there's a lot on our end that we need to do from a marketing perspective in order to help propel that motion. But I do anticipate that by the end of this year, we're going to see much higher numbers because we're just starting that curve. And I think that the growth is going to be exponential.
Yeah.
And Alex, what are your thoughts?
No, I agree with that. I think, look, it is a much harder sell. I always talk about VoIP and how easy that was compared to MoIP, right? And I totally underestimated what it would take to convince people to invest their money into this new asset class. And you know, again, we're going through a perfect storm. Like for crypto or for Bitcoin, you couldn't have asked. I know it's a bad thing that we have coronavirus, but you couldn't have asked for something better than a pandemic, a government printing more money. The Fed printed more money in a month than they did in 100 years, okay? If that's not a giant bell ringing for you, telling you, hey, take some of your money and put it away from the dollar, then nothing will get to you, right? So we have the right background. We have everything lined up, but most people are still saying, well, my bank has been around for 200 years. I can trust them. No, you can't. In a deflationary cycle, in a depression, none of that matters, right? And the last time we had a depression, almost no one is alive to tell you what happened back then. So my point is that I'm urging people to, you don't like Bitcoin, fine, buy gold. If you have any argument against gold and against earning 3% gold on gold, so the pain that people are going to go through when they wake up one morning, and I went through it twice. I went through it in Russia when the Russian ruble was devalued, and I went through it in Israel when Israel had 400% inflation after they printed too much money. So I've seen that with my family. I've seen that with people that I know, and they lost all of their value, right? They couldn't even buy groceries because the money they earned was worthless. So I'm not talking about it because I read some book or because I'm whatever, right? And the urgency is right there. Just because the stock market has hit a new high for Amazon or whatever, that's meaningless. That's completely meaningless for you. Okay, and what's going to happen to you and your savings? So I'll stop there because
I have one last thing I want to mention about that, because the other thing that we're doing to help increase the adoption is making it easier to get into crypto by just downloading the Celsius app. When we introduced the integration with Simplex in the app to be able to buy coins, I tested it out and I was able to buy $50 of Litecoin and have it deposited into my Celsius app in 8 minutes. 8 minutes. And I used my debit card. So it was lower fees than using a credit card. I really encourage you to share this with your friends, your family, show them how easy it is to do. Because now we've added this tool that makes it very easy to get into crypto. So do it. I mean, my $50 in Litecoin is already almost 90 today. So
and you're earning interest on it, right?
And I'm earning interest on it.
So I don't want to hark on about price, but I've just been told on CoinMarketCap the Cell token's gone past 20 cents. So congratulations, team, on your hard work.
And that's a huge milestone, because our ICO was at 20 cents, you know, so our average sell token, I think, was something like 17 of what people bought it at, but for at the ICO, but 20 cents is what the offering was, and it's very few companies, very few ICOs can go and say I'm above my offering price, you know, like that's
and
not.
just so that you guys understand what he means with the 17 cents, that's because early contributors to the token sale, they got bonus tokens. Just so you're not like, wait a minute, I paid 30 cents. That's not fair.
So the earlier,
that's what happened.
right, if you were like the first guy, I think you got 16.2 or something like that, then it was 17, 18, and some people paid, like the last guy I think paid like either 20 or 25 or something like that. So
well, the crowd sale outside of the US was 30 cents.
30 cents.
But that was only a small portion of the total tokens that we sold.
Arumi, you got your you formulated your answer, or you're still thinking about it?
Oh, no. I had it, but I know it was going to be a little bigger theme, so I wanted to go last. Well, I mean, so we had talked, and then I actually forgot what the question actually was. Sorry, I'm
mass
blanking.
Future of Celsius. Yeah.
So okay. So the whole thing about the mass adoption of Celsius and mass adoption of actually this technology, I mean, so the whole thing about blockchain, again, in general, is that the fintech side of it is that we were to come out with this technology, to come out with these applications, and bank the unbanked people, right? I mean, that's not exactly the purpose of Celsius per se. But let's just talk about the fundamental sort of blocker, the road blocker of why is this not being adopted at the rate where we thought it was going to be. Well, first of all, I think there are still, when the new technology like blockchain, something bad happens, people just like 10 times the news size than what it can be. I mean, and then it's like what just by holding the bitcoins you can lose them, is that what it is? So we cannot adopt what this thing is about. So I think it's still the sort of a very early stage when people still are not quite sure what they can or cannot get out of this general sort of technology and in the field. What is the tipping point? I think it's when all the regulators actually calm down a little bit and don't just single sort of point or the finger point at Bitcoin whenever something kind of like bad happens in finance and said that's because it's still not trustworthy or because the security is not there. I think the tipping point is when that happens, then the true mass adoption globally is going to happen. If I'm going to continue talking about my thoughts on this, it's going to take a whole hour, so I'm going to stop here. But if anybody who wants to discuss this with me, bring it on. I'm happy to do this.
It's a very good point.
Yeah, I would love to talk about the regulators, but we don't have enough time.
The amount of money lost or stolen through the internet is 100 times greater than the amount of money stolen through Bitcoin. The difference is we didn't go and say, let's shut down the internet because we have some technical problems. We went and solved the technical problem. So the same way we are solving the technical problems on the blockchain. All right, next question.
Well, what did you guys think of Goldman Sachs's report? Yeah, I thought that.
More of the same.
I tweeted about it, but go ahead. What's your comment?
Well, I mean, I do think that they had to justify their decision that they made a couple of years ago with regards to the Bitcoin fund that didn't launch. That's pretty much what my takeaway was.
Yeah.
My takeaway is that they're still Goldman Sachs. Now let's get on with doing the work that we're here to do.
Yeah, I think Mr. Goldman looked at Mr. Sachs, and the two of them decided that they have such an amazing franchise of them basically stealing money from so many people, right? They pay almost nothing in interest. They're bragging. I think, what's their service, Oscar or something, or what's right? I mean, they're bragging on how they're paying less than 1%. And if you look at the Goldman Sachs quarterly statement, you will see that they're making almost 20% on this money. So Goldman Sachs can pay you, everyone who's watching here, more than Celsius. Even though Ashley raised the rates and Harumi raised the rates on the stable coins, Goldman Sachs right now can pay you more than that and still have a profit. So why aren't they doing that? Who is all the profit going to, right? It's going to the shareholders, it's going to the executive, it's going to all the people who are already part of the 1/10 of 1%. So if the race is about who's dying with the most money, Mr. Goldman and Mr. Sachs are definitely going to win that race. But I don't think that's what this generation wants to talk about, is who dies with the most money, right? And that's what we're here to change. So next question.
So bringing it back to a slightly higher concept, I've got a question here from Simon. He says, apart from means of payment, why are stable coins so important in the crypto space and a focus for Celsius?
Yeah, so let me jump in first. So I did a presentation, which was my general presentation that I usually do at conferences. I did that. It's on our website, it's on YouTube. What's the title for that one, Tom? Do you remember?
We've got a couple up. I'll make sure to link it in the description.
Yeah, so Tom is going to put a link in. And in there, I have the phases of adoption, talking about mass adoption, crossing the chasm. And the main point is that the easiest way to cross the chasm is with something that somebody wants. And if you think about taking a person that knows nothing about the blockchain, nothing about technology even, and saying, like Ashley just said, right? Take your dollars, buy a stable coin, earn 9%, right? That is actually a very difficult thing for people to do, but it's easier. That is less of a hurdle than going to someone and saying, buy Bitcoin. And what is Bitcoin? It's some imaginary thing that lives on a blockchain on 10,000 different servers. That is a much harder sell. So our point and what we're trying to communicate to people is the first step outside of the dollar universe is stable coins, then it's gold or digital gold, which you can buy, again, through the Celsius app, right? Tether Gold. And the last one, the most difficult one, is Bitcoin, Ether, and so on, because that takes tremendous amount of trust and leap of thought. And most people have not gone through that rabbit hole yet, down that rabbit hole.
Thank you.
I mean, I think stable coins are the thing that are most relatable. And you can even compare that to like the internet protocol. You're like, okay, well, we can make phone calls. Look, it's just like the phone that's attached to the wall in your house. It's a phone. It looks like a phone. It works like a phone. We're using the protocol right now when we're on an internet call. And I think if you can generally find a way to introduce a new concept to people in a way that's somewhat familiar, you'll be able to show them how it works and eventually transition them to other versions of that digital asset. And I will say that I think that the introduction of more and more stable coins, I think, has put digital assets more in front of the regulators as something that they need to take more seriously. So since more and more stablecoins came into the marketplace, we're seeing a lot more conversations happen about, well, what does digital money look like in the future?
Sure, thank you. It's like trying to explain to someone what an app is when they're still on a rotary phone where they've got someone plugging it in the background. So I've got a question here from Hao Thuong. He says, what does your roadmap for 2020 to 2021 look like? And can you name some important milestones?
Maybe I'll get a vacation. I'm just kidding.
Alex, this might be where you start talking about 3 Bs,
yeah,
including a queen bee.
Yeah, so we definitely want to increase our asset base. So we want to have more than $1 billion in crypto. We definitely want to grow our gold product. We want to grow a stable coin, like Ashley said. So these are all very important initiatives, not just because we want more assets and we want to earn more out there. The issue is that when you get to a certain scale, you can do additional things that you cannot do when you're small. And for us, it's a lot of this has to do also with diversification, about adding more functions, or more services, more ways to earn. And for that, we need a broader base of capital. So, and when we earn from many more different buckets, that makes the community much more stable, right? So what we're focused on is not just, oh, can we make more money? Is our 20% what we keep, right, is going to be bigger. It's also a lot to do with the stability of the community. And we want this to be a self-sustainable community. Everything you heard Harumi and Ashley talk about, if you think about it, it's all, okay, people ask me, what happens if Alex dies? Nothing happens. 6 people in the investment committee are going to make exactly the same decision, right? So we built everything in a way that is self-sustainable. The system is profitable. It is going through the right process and decision making, and now you can load more assets on it, and nothing's going to change.
Sounds
I
good
do
to
have to say though, we are going to have to change the name Moip, so don't die for a while, okay, Alex?
You wanted to start with an age, I know. It's going to be something.
We're changing the show to Hoip. It's Harumi over IP.
Harumi, Hoip. I want to comment on the roadmap idea or what we see for the future. So I will just say, and I've said this to Alex before, that I still think that we're only looking at the tip of the iceberg. And when we talk about Celsius as an organization or as a concept or as a mission-driven company, I think that we're just touching on the kinds of services that we can provide. And once we are able to fuel the flywheel, as we say, with more and more under management, we're going to be able to think very creatively about applying the concepts that we hold at Celsius to other ways that we haven't been able to think about in the past. And I do think that this company is very forward thinking, and I'm very proud to work with such creative and talented individuals. And I think being an early member of our community is great, and you should spread the word because we are only just getting started.
And that's why when you see me publish, for example, I tweeted, I think yesterday, my code to give you $10 to join. Again, this is not me trying to go like, oh my God, let's add another 200 members. You should copy that. You should go to your profile and you should do that as well. If you believe, if you've done your homework and you believe that what we're doing is in the best interest of the community, you can help us grow the community much more than anybody else, right? You can convince people that are skeptical to come and buy a few stable coins and test it out. And they should buy a little bit, buy $10 and just sit on it for a few weeks, get paid interest, do the math. Are they really paying me what they said? You know, okay, and then that's how we win adoption. It's not some hoping that Goldman Sachs or JP Morgan joins and starts saying nice things about Bitcoin. Okay, we've been waiting for that for 12 years and it hasn't happened. I guarantee you it's not going to happen anytime soon.
Got to hit them where it hurts. All right, so I've got a question here from Stefan. He says, are institutional clients that lend from Celsius using holding the CEL token?
So some are, most of them are not. They can actually, if they want, they can pay some of the interest in CEL as well, their interest, what they owe us, or the community, I should say. We do have several institutions that hold CEL as an investment, and there are many more who want to do that. And once in a while, we will do like an OTC trade, meaning we will sell a bunch of CEL to an institution who doesn't think they can get it in the open market, for example. So yes, the answer is I don't know how many, but you know, there's definitely a.
Well, we are going to start trying to let our institutional borrowers more into the secret world of CEL, because they can pay us their interest at a discounted rate if they choose to do so. And what you all as a community should know is that when more and more institutions decide to take this approach, more and more of them are going to be utilizing this token and making it much more, I don't want to say valuable because I don't want to speculate on the value of the token, but it's going to be in higher demand, and that's going to affect all of you who are holding that token in a positive way.
And that's really the main difference between open, standard, public chains and tokens like Bitcoin, Ethereum, CEL, and so on that have limited supply, right? Because it doesn't matter if the dollar becomes a digital currency or if the yuan becomes a digital currency, they're not going to stop printing. So you're not comparing apples and apples, you're comparing apples and oranges. It doesn't matter if it's digital or not digital. If they're going to continue printing trillions of dollars, they just printed globally, $20 trillion in just a few months, right? Do you think that if it was digital, they wouldn't print it? They would still print it. Try to print a few new Bitcoins above the 21 million. Let's see how that works out for you. So the issue is that politicians and the Fed unfortunately do not have the spine that it takes to take the medicine now, right? They rather kick the can down the road and say everything is going to be wonderful. Nothing is going to happen if we print $5 trillion. You know, well, definitely something's going to happen. It's already happening. Next question.
So the next question, this brings back to what Ash was saying about the tip of the iceberg. Keith goes, I love the unbank idea, but the fact remains for now, I need to keep my regular bank due to being where I pay the vast majority of my bills. How do we fix this going forward?
Get rid of the bills. No, look, we are adding ACH, we are adding SEPA. I think it's in the next release in June. And you will be able to pay your bills from there. I mean, we don't want you to pay them in Bitcoin, right? Everybody who ever paid any bill in Bitcoin have lived to regret it, right? So what we want you to do is—
2 pizzas.
Yes, 2 pizzas, exactly. We want you to hodl, and then if you need to pay something, you borrow against it and you pay your bill, and you'll be able to do that in the app. So, and as long as, again, the value of your asset is increasing and you're borrowing against the asset, that is what the richest people in the world do. That is what a president does. That is what Mr. Goldman does. That's what Mr. Sachs does. That's what the CEO of JP Morgan does. Okay, he does not sell his real estate or his stocks. He borrows against his Amazon stock on a margin borrow, and he pays his bills. And meanwhile, all of his assets are earning return, and that's how the rich get rich. Their money works for them. They don't work for their money. But it does help to be paid something like $80 million a year. That does help a little bit.
But what we say with unbank yourself is sort of disconnecting your reliance on your traditional banking systems. So just like Alex said about those super wealthy people who are able to utilize the tools in a way that works best for them, what we have created is a product that can effectively do the same thing for you with much smaller assets. So rather than relying on a CD at your bank or a super low interest money market account, we're trying to create tools for you, low interest loans, high yield accounts that you can have those same benefits of the 1%, but at a smaller scale. So rather than completely disconnecting from the banks, which we can't do yet, we're just trying to take that reliance off of the bank. And that's, I think, what we are meaning when we say unbank yourself.
That's right. I think Arumi mentioned that earlier, that when you use the term unbank, especially in the context of nonprofit or in the context of the banking world, it usually means people who don't have an account or who don't have access to credit. But that's not how we are using it, right? For us, unbanking is untethering yourself from institutions that are stealing from you every day, right? Again, I call it a bad marriage, your relationship with your bank. They give you nothing, and you keep depositing everything you work so hard on. So why are you doing that, right? So you would get divorced if you had a relationship like that. Well, get divorced with your bank. Maybe we'll change the term from unbanked to get divorced. But, you know, I think my point is that it is not a fair relationship. And it's not fair because the banks over time took away all the stuff they used to give depositors, and they gave it to their shareholders. And we have done nothing. We, the depositors, have done nothing about that.
Excellent. So I've got a question here from Jason, and he says, what percentage of loan applications do you deny, and what are red flags for you?
Well, that's a great question for our lending team, which I know is going to be up in another AMA at some point. Okay. So I think we should review that next week, but I will say there are a lot of people involved in the process. So from the initial review from the lending team, there's a compliance element, making sure that we don't have any shady behavior from these individuals. But we're issuing a lot of loans. That's what I'll say, because I'm the one who approves them to go out every day.
So let's take this big loan that we're talking about. That was almost a $10 million loan. It's a single loan, right, for almost $10 million. And that was a good example because we had to worry about concentration. We had to worry about the collateral. So for us, let's say you come with a illiquid coin or token or an asset that you're giving, a digital asset that you're giving us, and that is a very high risk for us. We would never do a $9 million loan with something that was not liquid or was in some really rare coin that no one trades. So the risk profile and how much that is of the entire portfolio are things that we worry about it also. And when we lend coins, right, our counterparties, it's not just about the dollar loans going out. It's also when a hedge funds comes in and says, hey, I want to borrow this or that, those things are things that we worry about a lot as well, because it's the counterparty risk that brought down 2008. It's the collapse there happened because of counterparty risk, and we want to make sure we don't have too much. Again, unlike banks, we always have more assets than liabilities. Banks always have more liabilities than assets because they're using fractional reserves. They lend 10 times more than what they have on their balance sheet. And the Fed just lowered that to zero. So they, infinity and beyond, they can lend infinitely more money than Celsius. So think about where the risk is.
Thank you. Speaking of the Fed's money printing, I've got a question here from Stuart, and he says, not everyone wants to borrow in US dollars. Are there any plans to issue loans in different currencies, such as Hong Kong dollars or the Great British Pound?
Look, I think I'm going to take that one. And again, I think we're going to have to go back to a little bit of a regulatory discussion as well. So I'm going to try to keep this as concise as possible. Is there a plan? Absolutely. How quickly can we get there? Because of the different regulations and what a company can and cannot do in each jurisdiction, we can only set it up as fast as each region and each regulators allow us to set up the operations in respective field, either by setting an office or having some kind of representative, or even consider if we can actually do those things, the different currencies and whatnot. So for the foreseeable future, we're going to be dealing with US dollar-based loans, and then we are going to be a US dollar-based company. But we are working in a different jurisdictions to see what is the possibility, what are the possible ways for us to get there. For example, I was just talking to somebody who's, again, because I'm from the region, I was just talking to somebody who can deal with the JPY and see what it is that we need in order to get us there, right? So all these discussions are being held in parallel to what we do today. How quickly we can get there is how quickly we can get there.
Yeah, so just to add to that, Rumi did a great job. We are, it's very important for us to be compliant, and we have like 3 outside law firms that we deal with, and everything we have to run by them and make sure that they're compliant, that we are compliant. We're not stepping on a line, we're not close to any line, right? I mean, from a regulatory standpoint. So because the only thing that happens if you cross the line or you step on the line is that we put in danger our entire community, right? And so it's completely makes no sense. And some of our competitors do issue loans in local currencies in jurisdiction that it's illegal to do that. And people saying to us, but why can't you? Look, these other guys are doing it. And we're saying, look, they're doing it illegally. And there's no other answer. If we can't do it, it's because it's illegal. Like recently we launched New York, and it was after 2 years of work of making sure that we crossed all the T's and dotted all the I's, and we allow people to now take Bitcoin and deposit it in the app and earn yield, right? This took 2 years, more than 2 years. And we're going to do the same thing in Japan. We're going to do the same thing in every country where we know in Japan, they're very strict about anyone who touches the yen, like Harumi said. And we don't want to show up there and say, oh, here we're opening our office, we're going to do all this great stuff here. And the regulator says, no, you've been operating illegally for 2 years. I'm not giving you anything, right? We want to show up and smell like a rose.
Thank you. So I've just got a question here from Ashwin. He says the United States digital dollar white paper is out. I'm not sure if this is good or bad for the growth of crypto. Can you guys please shed some light on it?
I haven't read that actually.
Yeah, it's issued by whom? Who issued the white paper?
I've just got the United States digital dollar. I'm not sure if it's anything to do with the Fed's faster payment task force or anything to do with that.
Look, first, it's a good thing, right? I mean, we want the dollar to be digital. We want the dollar to have more fungibility, because a digital dollar will run faster, will be used more, which will kind of anchor the position of the dollar as the reserve currency of the world. So it's a good thing for the dollar. It's a good thing for the United States. And it's kind of like almost like a counterbalance to the fact that the Fed is drawing on the power of the dollar by printing more dollars, right? So that is a good move. And let's say I have to read it and look at it, and if it's using open architecture to technology, the open blockchain, that'll be amazing. So I have to dig into it.
Yeah, it looks like that just happened a couple of hours ago, so I haven't had a chance to look at that, but super interesting.
Yeah, apparently it's by the commodities.
I want to comment on one thing. It's kind of important. I'm not drinking a mojito. This is just water.
Yeah,
I'm on gin.
The U.S. Digital dollar is more of a response to the fact that China is already testing it in 3 provinces than anything else, right? So it's a good thing that the Chinese are kicking us and making us wake up and do something. And now let's see who wins, because there's really like 3 horses in this race. There is the public blockchain, almost like the public internet. There is the corporate version, which is what JP Morgan and Libra are doing. And then there's a government version, right? So I want to see what direction they're going to. Are they going to do like the government version where they control everything and no one can do anything about it? Or is it going to be more of like a controlled environment like the corporate? Or are they going to say, look, the United States did phenomenally well, better than anyone else in the world, by creating the internet and launching it, opening up to everybody. Are we going to do the same thing again, or are we going to try to create some other model? So that's really the challenge. That when I read the spec, I can tell you who wrote it. I can tell you if the techies wrote it, who believe in open internet, or the guys in the White House who believe that we should control everything in every way.
Let's take a page from SpaceX and NASA. Let's collaborate.
Right.
Let's let the experts do what they can, and there's a lot of work that's already been done. So I think that this is. I talked about this on a panel in October in Seattle, that China was working on this, and if this should be the next space race, and the U.S. government needs to take it more seriously. So I'm glad to review this later today, and thanks for letting us know that white paper's out.
And the White House did hire, I think, the chief legal officer from Coinbase and few other crypto people. So it gives me, I'm very optimistic that those are the people who wrote the spec, and not the people who, sometimes the people in Treasury who just want to control every aspect of the dollar. And we'll see who won on this debate. Next question. We're almost running out of time. So let's try to squeeze 1 or 2 questions and then we're done.
Last 2 questions. We'll also put that in the daily huddle for you guys, so we can answer the white paper question more in detail there. So this is another question from Hao Thong. He says, what is your team size to achieve all your goals? And do you want to increase the size of the team? And what can people do to join the team?
Well, I can tell you right now that we're just over 60 people all in. So it's about 35 contractors and employees that are working full-time for the company, with an additional 30 or so between our developers, support team, and community support team. So that's our current status, and we are hiring right now. Alex, if you want to talk about kind of what we're hiring at the moment, we plan to hire a lot more later this year too.
Yeah, I think we approved in a different committee, we approved 7 job responsibilities, and actually Ashley's waiting for a job description, so she can actually put them live, and you guys can see them on the website or on LinkedIn. And Rumi obviously worked on that as well. Rumi has to approve the money side to make sure that we actually have the money to pay for it. But beyond that set of employees, we have over 300 ambassadors that are working with us to create content in different languages. And it always drives me crazy. Like, I'll watch a video on YouTube that is a phenomenal overview of the product, right? and it's a person doing it in broken English, and you can see, okay, you're from the Philippines. You did an excellent job. Just do it in your language. We don't need another English review. We need the review in your own language. So what we're trying to do now, what?
Tagalog.
Yeah. So what we're trying to do is really, we have a whole group of people that is working with ambassadors. If you want to be an ambassador, there's a way to register right on our website and help us create the content, translate content we already have. We don't need more content in English. We need it in Russian. We need it in Chinese. We need it in French, and so on, so on. So really the power of Celsius is the power of the community. And we have several tiers, people who work with us very closely, and then people who are like more like ad hoc, and it's probably altogether it's several hundred people.
So I'm on to the final two questions, and they are very specific. This one is for Harumi. What is your favorite recipe to make, and what's the secret to good cooking?
Oh my God, my favorite recipe. Okay, for cooking, so we are talking about the meals, yeah? Okay, I would cook anything Asian on any given day. I just open my refrigerator and see what meat, fish, vegetables available, and whip together something. So come to my house anytime if you happen to find where it is, and whatever is in the refrigerator, that's what I'll cook for you. That's my answer to that question.
And what do you call it? What are you baking? We want to know what you're baking.
Yeah.
They want the secret recipe.
Yeah. Oh, I have to say, so I live in New York. I'm a New Yorker. I've lived here for 20 years of my life. I still made New York style bagels last weekend.
That's great.
Yeah.
I missed those. You should have brought some for me.
That's true. Okay, on Monday, I'll bring some to you.
Because they closed all the bagel shops. You cannot get a New York bagel. And if you order it online, they charge $12 a bagel.
Don't talk.
That's true. Okay, and I will bring the New York bagels with all the boiling and stuff, and then with everything like seeds.
Sesame. I like sesame and poppy. So those
just
are my
poppies?
favorite.
Okay, got it.
Can you ship to California, because you cannot get a good bagel here?
I have to find a way to like vacuum close the bags and then send them to you. Otherwise, the freshness is gonna be gone. But let me work on that. And then different technology to vacuum seal the bagel bags.
That's right. All right. So we obviously didn't answer all the questions, but I appreciate you guys staying longer than usual, and we will try to address the other questions in writing, right on the on the chat and stuff like that. And again, we have a very vibrant community. You can always also ask all the questions on Telegram or on Twitter, and you'll get instant answer. There's again on Twitter it's over 50,000. On Telegram it's over 20,000 people. Obviously we're on Reddit also, and a few other channels. Come follow us on YouTube. Great content. Again, Tom is the curator of the Celsius YouTube community, and he's the one that publishes all that great content. So if you have a video, you want something that you think needs to be in a Celsius channel, send it to Tom, and he will, he will add it on. And thank you everybody for your support. I see the Cell token continues to go up. So the ladies here has definitely a magical touch. Maybe we should keep it going for a few more hours, But I really appreciate Harumi and Ashley sharing their experience and their hard work. I work hard, but both Ashley and Harumi make me look bad. Okay, they just the most dedicated employees we have, and they're an exceptional asset both to this company and to the community. So thanks so much, and we'll see you next week. Next week, like we said, is the lending team, all women team. So you will get to meet them next week.
Thank you.